financial problems, elder law, criminal law, tax problems, business matters, divorce, personal injury, bankruptcy, your life, your reality. Life is complicated. There is the law and there is reality. Welcome to Law and Reality, sponsored by THAV GROSS. Now here's your host, Ken Gross.
Welcome to this segment of Law and Reality. Today's topic is debt elimination via Chapter 13 or debt resolution. Brian Small, good morning.
Good morning, Ken. Wonderful to be here today.
Jeffrey Linden.
Good morning, Ken.
Pat Samasco, you're back.
I'm here. How'd you like my daughter last?
We like her better, actually.
I don't blame you.
Last
She
3 or 4
really
shows,
did.
she did a great job.
You know, she's very passionate. One thing.
Is she out in the car? Because
No,
we can switch
she's
out,
not. I would
switch you
love
out
her
right
to.
now.
And as a brand new lawyer, like when you were starting out, hey Jeff, we got to go. You need to go to court. Oh, I don't know. Do I want? You know, you're always.
She's a go-getter.
Honey, do you want to go to court? She's like all in, man. She is all.
What letter was that?
I said the F word, and I call her honey, because that's my word, and it's very. I got to call, walking through. Hey, honey, I got to make sure I tell all my clients that that's actually my daughter. So, yeah. So she's doing fantastic. She's an elder law attorney, and she wants to take over and save the world.
She's spunky. We welcome her on the show anytime. She did a very nice job. She was not the least bit coy.
No.
We all concluded where she gets her moxie from.
Her mother.
Her mother. Yes, absolutely. Her mother. Yes, absolutely.
All right. So back to the basics a little bit. It's a new year. We're dealing with this threat of recession. We know we've seen credit card interest rates almost double, and they were obnoxious to begin with. I mean, when the Fed rate was 1%, the credit card was 14%. Now the credit cards are up in the 20s, added to, Brian thinks they're going to go into the 30s.
On new cases or on defaults? Like
Well,
if I go get her.
No, I mean, no.
We're
We're talking about just regular credit card interest rates are in the 20s. Default rates are going to be, you're going to see them bump up on top of it.
So my daughter, she finally gets some money. I'm paying her a little bit. She goes, gets her credit card. She gets
Pay it off
married.
every month.
But the point is, her credit card will be 20%.
Oh,
What
easy.
about existing credit cards? And now, do they automatically increase it, or
They send notices.
it's
You know where I've seen it, because I pay them off every month, but Bonnie likes to use a couple store cards, like a Kohl's card, Nordstrom's card. Well, Amy likes to use the Nordstrom card. Those rates are way up. Those rates have always been higher than your credit card rates anyway, but they're up 28, 29%.
At
What
the
card
same
do you
time,
use?
limits are being dropped. Also.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's a combination.
What card do you use when you get your hairstyle?
I pay cash for my hair. But I use a Citi card with points, and I think you use a Capital One. I'm all about the points. It's I charge DoorDash, everything else. I charge groceries. I hardly pay cash anymore for anything since COVID, because you don't want to touch the money. Is really where it started from. But the benefit is the points.
Yep.
If you are in the financial position where you are paying off those cards every month, you're not the revolver, you're the...
I can't remember the term, but you're doing well.
We'll think of it. The revolver is the one that keeps paying the interest and makes the minimum payment. He's the credit card company hero because he's giving them all this interest, or she's giving them all the interest. The one who pays it off every month, the credit card company's not making money off you. They're making money on what they charge their customers, but you're
What
not...
do they charge a customer?
So the average credit card is being, the customer is being charged between 1% and 3.5% for the transaction fee.
Yeah.
And American Express charges more.
Wow.
They've always... That's why some retailers don't
They don't use American Express, yeah.
All right, so Chapter 13 in debt resolution. First of all, what are the basic elements of a Chapter 13?
So, Chapter 13 is structured reorganization. Take all your debt, mush it all together, look at what you can afford to pay, and force the creditors to accept what you can afford, not what they want. We use Chapter 13 also to help you catch up on mortgage payments that you've fallen behind on, property taxes that you've fallen behind on.
How's the catch-up work?
Well, we have 5 years to pay the arrears instead of the mortgage lender wants that money right now or they're going to foreclose.
So I'm behind in my mortgage by 4 months for
Foreclosures-
$12,000.
Foreclosure's gonna start.
I'm facing foreclosure.
So I can take that $12,000, spread that out over 60 months, and the mortgage company has nothing they can say about it.
So $12,000 divided by 60, I pay $200 a month
Yes,
plus my regular mortgage payment.
yes.
What's the interest rate?
On the arrears, 0. On the current mortgage, whatever your mortgage rate is with your interest.
What
And on
about
your
credit cards?
Credit cards, those are unsecured debts. So in the Chapter 13, we're not worried about interest. What we're worried about is what you can afford. So if you have $100,000 for the credit card debt and you can only afford $200 a month over 60 months, we just learned that's $12,000, right?
That's all you pay.
That's all you pay. And at the end of the 60-month plan, the rest of the credit card debt is eliminated. And it's not a taxable event. And you get a fresh start and you got a discharge and you have redeveloped your credit at the same time.
Do the credit card companies know that, so they're more willing to negotiate with you, or it's
So-
more of a process? They don't care because it's all.
So
More of the latter.
But that's the debt resolution side. So sometimes what you can afford is enough to pay everybody back in full or pay somebody 75 or 80
Hold
cents
that,
on the
'cause we're coming to
dollar.
a break and we're going to go over debt resolution in total. But the other point I want to get on Chapter 13 is that $200 a month to pay the $12,000. The other benefit of Chapter 13 is if you're facing foreclosure, correct me if I'm wrong, it is the only mechanism that stops the foreclosure that works for you.
It does, other than writing a check and getting yourself current before the foreclosure
So
sale.
if you have a foreclosure you're facing, the key is you have to file the Chapter 13 case before the sale date.
100% correct.
That's the key, because people sometimes wait till the last minute. It's okay to wait till the last hour, but don't wait till the last second, because if you file it after the time of the sale, it's too late. We'll take a break. We'll come back.
It's a new year, full of hope. With hope comes the reminder that you need to protect your future and the future of your loved ones. THAV GROSS is holding a free estate planning seminar February 8th in our offices in Bingham Farms. We will discuss the importance of having a will, a trust, and powers of attorney. And yes, it's absolutely free. You need to protect yourself and avoid the probate of your assets when you pass away. To sign up, call us today at 888-235-HELP or sign up at thavgross.com.
If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV GROSS specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
I was married for 57 years before my husband died.
Simasco Law had established a trust for them before this happened.
There's so much to do in the beginning, but after about a month, you're kind of alone.
We deal with estate planning and trusts every day.
If you continue to have good support and know that your finances and your estate is in order, that's one thing that's so comforting. I would just highly recommend Simasco Law.
You can't work. You have to deal with pain and stress. Worse yet, our system for applying for disability benefits seeks to deny you the benefits you're entitled. Jeff Kirschner is an expert in obtaining disability and workers' compensation benefits for his clients. You need to call Jeff before you apply or after you're denied to get the benefits you deserve. 888-235-HELP. 888-235-HELP. Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Tax problems are major problems. Don't let the IRS levy your wages and seize your assets. There is a solution.
We're THAV GROSS. Our firm will solve your problem.
If you're behind on your taxes and owe money to the IRS, call THAV GROSS.
We've been solving tax problems for 32 years. We stop wage levies, resolve unfiled returns, and obtain the best possible settlements.
Call THAV GROSS today, 888-235-HELP.
All right, so that's chapter 13. You had a question.
Yeah, and a big question. So
to the
most
break.
people that I see in the elder law world is mostly kids go and need money from the path of least resistance, which they're going to go borrow from their mom and dad. So they borrow the money from
Bank
the
of
mom and
Dad, yes.
Right. And they pay down the mortgage, and of course it never pays it all off. It's necessary, and then they get in trouble again, and now mom and dad, they need to file the same chapter 13 a year later or 2 years later. What happens with mom and dad's debt?
So
Or is
mom
it a-
and dad are generally, and unfortunately, a general unsecured creditor, just like Visa and MasterCard. What we recommend, if you're going to borrow money from mom and dad, you give mom and dad a security interest, a mortgage on the property, and it's a contemporaneous exchange for value so that it's a legitimate mortgage. At least it protects them by putting them ahead of Visa and MasterCard. Otherwise, they're just an unsecured creditor.
I mean, and it's actually a really important thing. If the family decision is they don't want to file bankruptcy, they're going to borrow from mom and dad, and then they do, by giving them the mortgage, then when they decide they need the bankruptcy, they can get rid of the credit card debt, and mom and dad are still secured on the mortgage. Whereas if they don't secure the mortgage, mom and dad are in the same position, which means, well, in some respects, it would still reduce the amount that the credit card companies get.
The credit card companies in the Chapter 13 would get less, but at the end of the day, there's the moral obligation to repay your parents, which, if you're going to have to repay your parents, you might as well make them a secured creditor, which means that everybody else gets less.
Well, let me add another part, because when mom and dad are alive, for the kid, it's mom and dad loaned me the money. The second mom and dad pass away, they tell their brother, "Oh, mom and dad gave me that money."
Right.
They get divorced.
And
mom
then
and dad
fight, then it's a fight among the siblings.
Oh, jeez.
No, you owe that money back because or otherwise I'm paying half of your loan.
Yeah. So here we're going to have a big rush in January. I'm sure you guys will too. A lot of mom and dads are going to come into our offices, want to disinherit one of their kids. They got in a big political fight with them over the holidays. Right? We've had probably a half a dozen disinherited kids just because of politics.
You know, we've had a few, but I don't know. They haven't told me that it's politics, so I wasn't aware of it because I'm so averse to having any political discussion with clients because I don't want them to know because they won't like what I have
They'll
to say.
suck
sometimes.
you into it. And you just can't. You can't go there.
Yeah, it's a crazy time. So. That's Chapter 13. So Chapter 13 sounds great. So why would you ever do debt resolution?
Because Chapter 13, as I was starting to say, sometimes when you look at the availability of cash flow from a client, a Chapter 13 might pay back everybody in full.
Like your unsecured, like the Visa and MasterCard?
Yeah. But over 5 years, it still helps with cash flow, right? Because everybody wants a piece of the pie.
And it stops the foreclosure if you're being foreclosed.
And it stops the foreclosure. But sometimes you just have too much debt and you don't want to pay it back in full. And debt resolution is quite often a better solution.
In fact, let me back up. Our mantra, You want to get rid of the debt in the fastest way at the least possible cost. And there's basically 3 strategies we use. Chapter 7,
Debt elimination.
which is one and done quickly if you qualify. Chapter 13, which is getting rid of it, but it's over a 3 to 5 year plan. Debt resolution is settling the credit card debt at a substantial discount and getting rid of it quickly using the minimum monthly payments that you've been making as the fund that you create to settle the debt.
Right, that's
The
what we call
question
the
is,
power of the minimum monthly payment.
which one of the 3 gets you out of debt the fastest way at the least possible
The bigger
cost?
question is, can you still get into heaven if you have a bunch of debt?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
God doesn't care.
Yeah.
Wait, if you
The
have a
credit
bunch of
card-
debt or if you got rid of a bunch of debt?
Either way, if you got rid of the debt, does God care? Or if you left and
You know,
had a bunch
I know
of
the
debt?
show is on Sunday mornings, but we'll
Did
have
you
to leave
know
that to a higher power to figure out.
That Moses had a first mortgage to Bank of America, a second
Oh,
to
it's still there?
a second to his parents, and a third to Capital One.
So here's the real point. If Moses had a $100 credit card for his sheep that he bought, and he paid the required minimum distribution, minimum payment, 3,000 years later, will he still have that
he
credit?
still owes the same.
He would
no,
still
if he's
owe-
been
no, he
making the
would
minimum
still owe the
payments, he
same.
still owes the $200
Let's be
for the
realistic.
tabernacle.
I mean, he would have, if he didn't use the card any further, by the time they got out of the desert, it might have been.
Oh,
paid.
yeah.
Yes,
40
40
years.
years.
40
But if he
years.
had to keep using the card to buy some
Grain.
bread and grain,
Yeah.
then he'd still owe the $200.
That would be the most expensive
You know, at least
sheep.
we should have
So
done this
how
show
does
in
chapter-
the
How does debt
Christmas season.
So here's the key. When debt resolution works.
Wait a second.
When
I
you
want,
make
wait,
too
wait,
much
wait.
money for a chapter 13 or a chapter 7.
Wait, hold on, wait.
Wait. What you just said, though, is you have a the moral obligation is you feel that you have a moral obligation to make sure these companies and
No.
you don't though.
You have a moral obligation
to your family.
To your family.
Yes,
Right.
not
and to
the
make sure,
credit card.
and to protect yourself so that you have a
They'll pay
retirement,
the credit card before they'll pay their food and their prescription coverage and stuff like
which
that.
is terrible.
Absolutely horrible.
And they pay their credit card before they pay their mortgage payment.
Yeah.
And their house is more important than their credit card.
The worst case I had, son thought mom was crazy. He went out and remortgaged his mom's house to pay off a $45,000 set of credit card debts, and mom passed away.
That happens all the time.
And then he's got to pay the debt on the mortgage.
You're bringing up a good one before. That's the most common thing people do. They refinance their house, they take out that equity, they pay off their credit cards. Conceptually, they're thinking, okay, my mortgage rate is 5%, now it's 8%, 9%. My credit card rate's 22%, or 28%, that makes sense, but it's not the right strategy. It's the wrong strategy because you're giving up the equity in your home and you can get rid of the credit card debt a different way, through debt resolution, which what we will hit on when we get back from the break.
It's a new year, full of hope. With hope comes the reminder that you need to protect your future and the future of your loved ones. THAV GROSS is holding a free estate planning seminar February 8th in our offices in Bingham Farms. We will discuss the importance of having a will, a trust, and powers of attorney. And yes, it's absolutely free. You need to protect yourself and avoid the probate of your assets when you pass away. To sign up, call us today at 888-235-HELP or sign up at thavgross.com.
Carrying too much debt? Resolve your debt. Call THAV GROSS.
You don't need to be broke, and you don't need to hit rock bottom. If you have income and you're struggling with debt, dump it. Think about the next 10 or 20 years. If you do what the banks tell you, you'll have nothing to retire with. There is a solution.
Don't waste your future. Call THAV GROSS. We're experts at eliminating credit card debt. 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Pat was recommended by a friend who insisted that we really needed a trust. And he said, I know somebody who will do a good job for you.
At Samasco Law, we deal with estate planning and trusts every day.
We had excellent service from Samasco Law. Any questions we had were addressed. Our estate is in order, and it had been set up so well that nothing needed to be done. I would just highly recommend Masco Law.
Time for announcements. We've got free seminars coming up. February 8th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. Estate Planning for 2023. Key elements of an estate plan, what you need to know and address, how to avoid probate, how to protect your family. Attendees receive a gold certificate for $300 off of the cost of any estate plan. You want to sign up, thavgross.com, lawandreality.com, or call 888-235-HELP. Then on March 8th, 6 to 7:30 p.m., how to make credit card debt go away. We're going to go over THAV Gross's debt resolution program. This is not debt settlement. This is our special program that's a 24-month program designed to eliminate credit card debt. It's a solution without bankruptcy. We'll also talk about when bankruptcy is the right solution for you, how both systems work, how and why we can do it within 24 months, where everyone else says it's a 4-year program. Attendees receive a free copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. Call 888-235-HELP, 888-235-HELP, or register online at thavgross.com or lawandreality.com. Remember, you can always come in for a free consultation. We still do them via tele or Zoom conference if you like, but by all means, we're doing them in office. This is the post-COVID world. Just call 888-235-HELP or go online and sign up. Debt issues, tax issues, estate planning issues, business law issues, elder law issues with Pat, disability issues with Jeff. Again, just sign up lawandreality.com or call 888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. Also, go to our website to get the free reports, Resolving Tax Problems, The Real Solutions by Jeff Linden and myself, Bankruptcy Is It Right for Me by Brian, How to Save Your Home from Foreclosure, Business Formations, Loans and Grants for Small Businesses in Detroit and Michigan, and Pat's Retiree's Guide to Social Security. I want to thank our sponsors, THAV Gross, Masco Law, Kirshner Law. Now back to the show.
Is the debt piling up? Struggling to get by?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP. If you're retired and in a financial crisis, there is a way out.
It pains me when I see a retired couple exhaust their savings by paying credit card bills and for a home hopelessly underwater.
THAV Gross specializes in helping retired people in financial crisis.
You just can't keep paying until you're broke. You need to address the problem now.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
We're THAV Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
All right, we're back. All right, so let me give you a example, a case study for when debt resolution works. Bart and Jenny, they've got 2 kids, Fred and Sam. Bart's a software designer, makes $125,000 a year W-2. Jenny's a dental hygienist, she's making $75,000. So they make good money, $200,000 a year. They have a home, value $480,000, mortgage is $400,000. There's $80,000 in equity. They've got furnishings. Bart's got $125,000 in his 401k. Jenny's got $75,000. So, and they've got credit card debt, $120,000. Medical bills, $15,000. Loans from parents, $25,000. And they got tax liabilities lingering from 19 and 20 for about $35,000. Their monthly budget, they got $13,000 coming in net of taxes, but they're paying $3,000 a month for those credit cards. They're also paying out $2,000 for tuition for per kid between room and board, $4,000 a month. That's why they don't have any money. At the end of the month, they're negative $22.75 a month, but it's all because of the $3,000 in credit card debt. Can we just throw them into, is this a Chapter 13?
So in this case, it is a Chapter 13, but it would be a full pay Chapter 13 because certain things we're not allowed to do. In Chapter 13, we're not allowed to pay college kids tuition. They're adults, so you can't pay for your adult children. So we're going to decide right there.
So Chapter 13 is
Chapter 13's out.
So why is debt resolution the solution?
Well, because nobody tells you what you can or can't spend your money on in debt resolution. The goal is to find a solution to negotiate a settlement. So in this case, $120,000 for the credit card debt, we're probably going to get rid of for somewhere around $45,000 overall. And they're paying $3,000 a month. Yeah, they're going in the hole on other stuff, but we can do a little budget management to help them get their budget under control and put together a situation where we can negotiate these credit card debts away, saving them a ton of money, doing it in 12 to 24 months instead of a 5-year Chapter 13.
Yeah, here's the big, instead of a 5-year Chapter 13, and when you see debt settlement on TV and on the radio, they're talking about a 4-year plan. 4 years, we've run the numbers. We've been doing this for a long time. We developed debt resolution based upon being a maximum of a 2-year plan, because if it's longer than 2 years, then Chapter 13 is really the right solution. But debt settlement company will never put you into a Chapter 13 because they don't do it. We do both. We want to do the one that's the fastest at the least cost. In this case, these guys with this kind of income can get rid of the debt within 2 years, and now all of a sudden $3,000 a month that was going to the credit card industry stops. That's gone. And they can start saving that money. They can invest it with Pat Samasco, and they can start creating a savings account. Plus, the kids will finish college eventually, and that $4,000 burden will go away as well. So in this case, it's a good solution. If you look at the numbers and you put them up there, they go from negative $22.75 a month to positive $1,200 a month, even paying the $4,000 a month for the kids' tuition and room and board. It's the right move to make in that circumstance.
Well, the key no matter what is to have the analysis done, period. Because if we could put them into a Chapter 7 and eliminate the debt, that's, again, the quickest, easiest, least
But at
costly method.
$200,000 of income, you're not going to qualify.
No.
Well, the other thing is that if you go to the debt settlement companies, they're taking care of, a portion of their debt. They're not equipped nor are they qualified to handle their tax debt.
Are they allowed to? They're not like
No, they don't even know
certified.
how.
No, they don't know how. So you get on the wrong plan that's more costly for them, but your taxes are still there.
So what are you going to do
come
with the taxes?
The
in this
taxes, we would be able to
circumstance?
get them in a 72-month plan with minimal financial information, and that would cut their payments roughly in half.
Do the IRS want you to do that? Are they happy to do
The
that?
IRS wants to get paid.
They don't care.
Yeah, they don't.
They want it.
The government isn't going away. They can stretch it over time. If they're getting steady payments, they're happy.
If you're working with them, are they the nice workers to work with? Are they not the mean, nasty, rotten people?
More or less,
that
they're
everybody-
reasonable. If you're working with them, then they have to follow their policies. They have a time limit with which they can collect. The closer you get to the end of that, the more aggressive they're going to become. But if you're working with them, they can be pretty reasonable.
If the scenario is they're coming after you, you don't have representation, it's a pressure play, they're nasty. When you're going to them and you're working it out and you've got representation, they do their job, and the law entitles you to these rights. It's a question of obtaining them. Have a great week. We'll be back next week with Law and Reality.